racing fan, Monday Morning Racer right here, and this is Between the Slicks, which airs every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we talk about it all in the world of drag racing. And when I say all, I truly do mean that, because on this show, we have, yes, drivers. Yes, we have promoters. Yes, we have crew chiefs. But we also like to talk to the people that make drag racing happen that you often don't get to hear from, and you might not see them out there in the forefront of the drag racing world, but they all are a part in the wheel that keeps drag racing rolling. And then on the show tonight, later on around 8:30, we're going to have our guest tonight, Paul Flynn, the son of Rob Flynn, and he is a Toyota Racing Development NHRA track support engineer. So, in layman's terms, I'll put it this way. He's the guy that takes the box out on the track and gets that measurement and takes that data back so tuners can make decisions to get those 11,000 horsepower hot rods down the strip. We're going to be talking with him. And it's stories like this this is why I decided to do Between the Slicks. I wanted to have a platform for the PDRA guys, for the Funny Car Chaos guys, for the Southeast Gasser guys, for people in the NHRA that have drag racing stories that you might not hear from. Look, if we have a big name on this show every now and then, fine, great. But come here to hear from people that you should hear from, but you don't often get a word from them. That is what's going to happen right here on Between the Slicks. Drag Racing Central says MMR. Thanks, man. Thank you for watching. Look, where are you watching from? Please put something in the chat box. Hit the like button for me. Hit the share button as well. And let folks know that Between the Slicks is live right now. There's a lot of news in the drag racing world. Let's get to that. A lot has been happening. First and foremost, I want to mention, and I'm looking forward to this so much, Chris Graves, Funny Car Chaos. It keeps getting better and better and better. We got people watching from Pennsylvania. We got people watching from Phoenix. Hey, Stan, how you doing? Funny Car Chaos. You all know later on this year, they're going to have, again, the Funny Car Classic. It's going to be even bigger and better, kicking off the season at the Texas Motorplex with the world's biggest funny car drag race, period. Well, not only will they kick off the season at the Texas Motorplex, but Funny Car Chaos, it will have its championship finals at the Motorplex. And here's the key with this. Yes, Funny Car Chaos is a great series. And how great of a series is it to have their championship finals at the Motorplex? That's huge in its own right. But the Funny Car Chaos brand, it will kick off, as they end their season, the Texas Fall Nationals Stampede of Speed. So what does that mean? As Funny Car Chaos is beginning to wrap up their season, they will be at the Texas Motorplex, and they will be the opening act, drag racing-wise, for the entire week of the Stampede of Speed, even wearing the hat. And that might very well have been the greatest week in drag racing that we had all of last year, and one of the greatest weeks in drag racing ever to date in this wonderful motorsport. And Funny Car Chaos is going to be the opening act going into the Fall Nationals and everything else that is planned for that entire weekend. That is a great honor. Congratulations to Chris Graves, the Funny Car Chaos gang and brand, and I'm excited to be a part of it. As many of you know, Chris has given me an opportunity to be the pit reporter this year and do some production work for Funny Car Chaos, to get some videos out for them. I'm looking forward to be even more closely associated with that group. They're a great group. They love their racing. They love the history of the sport. They love the future of the sport, and they just want to enjoy themselves and have fun in a competitive way against one another. Well, it's going to be spectacular for Funny Car Chaos to be kicking off the Stampede of Speed. So not only do you need to be at the Motorplex for the kickoff to the Funny Car Chaos season, but you now need to be there for the end of the Funny Car Funny Car Chaos season and just hang around. Just hang around for the whole week of Stampede of Speed. John Fink says he's watching from Florida. Thank you for watching, John. Rick says, can't wait to see tall Paul Flynn. Yes, Paul is tall. We'll talk about that. We'll get the measurements there. We're going to have him on in about 30 minutes. We'll be chatting with him. We'll get through some more news and what else you all might want to chat on in the world of drag racing. But be prepared to ask Paul some insider questions on the job that he's got within the NHRA. Drag Racing Central. NHRA paint schemes for 2022 might be some of the best of my lifetime. Well, you mentioned that. A lot of silly season news has come out this week, and that silly season news, as Drag Racing Central mentions, has brought the look of the wraps, the paint schemes, the liveries, if you will. And we'll start off with Justin Ashley. Justin Ashley has this partnership with Phillips Connect, and like the vice president of Phillips Connect is Jim Epler. Yes, the Jim Epler, all the way back, first man to 300 miles per hour in a funny car, Jim Epler. Well, he's brought this brand to drag racing, and he's kind of being involved in drag racing once again. And Phillips Connect, and I love this. This company basically makes, for lack of a better term, tracking devices that collect data for the logistics industry, trucks, semi-trucks, tractor trailers. Well, Phillips Connect, you've got all those connections. Look at that wrap. You've got schematics in it, dots and lines and the blue and the black. That is a solid wrap. Not only does the car look good, but the truck and trailer, that is a good looking wrap on a truck and trailer. And I like the silhouette of the Top Fuel Dragster, and it's streaking, and yet it flows into the whole design of the schematics with this company that has, well, technology and is definitely high technology. We also have seen a peek at what Torrance will have, and the Torrance family wrap, or at least one of them so far, looks really good. They stepped up the game. It's even better than the years prior. I think it might be their top wrap that they have had. We got a glimpse of the Napa funny car for Ron Capps. Clearly, it's a Dodge, so he is running Dodge. We know that now. And it, again, a solid wrap. And what I like about Napa, we can expect through the year to come that Napa will change the look up. Like, one of my favorite schemes of the Napa brand is the brakes, when they kind of bring out that butterscotch yellow or gold with black, and it's the brakes that they're pushing as far as their marketing platform through Ron Capps. I love that look. I hope they do that again. And I hope they do it with like their gold Napa filters or whatever else they may come up with their particular brand. But we can expect for things through the year to change with them and look forward to whatever change may come, and it may be. But we're going to be seeing more revealed to come. And I can tell you from Buddy Hole and his announcement, Buddy Hole made an announcement that you will see Buddy Hole Racing this year. He was working very closely with Terry Haddock and was in the Top Fuel portion of that team with Terry Haddock Racing, and was at 18 races this past year, finished 14th in the point standings as a rookie. Well, he purchased the Top Fuel dragster that Tim Wilkerson owned. And Tim will also be his tuner for the 6 to 8, possibly even more races that they're going to attend in 2022. Well, we don't know what his car is going to look like quite yet, but I have seen what the truck and trailer do look like. And Buddy Hole always has everything appearing sharp and clean, and the trailer and truck look just to that, sharp and clean. And I expect the car to be the same as well. So I can't wait to see what wrap they put on that Top Fuel dragster. So many more that we are going to see, and I hope this coming year we see even more of what, like the Colettas did with Sean Langdon's car, and it was the Bounty Hunter Top Fuel Dragster at Indy, and they had that old school wrap on it. I hope we start seeing more of that in NHRA drag racing and bringing an emphasis to it. Tony Stewart, we saw what those cars are going to look like. I think they're a solid scheme. And sure, that's going to change over the year with the marketing partners that Leah and Hagen have, but they're base, primary, wrap, solid looking cars. The wrap game, the livery game, the scheme game, I have to agree with Drag Racing Central, is strong so far this year, and that is a cool deal. Hey, so far in the comments section, put in what have you been most excited about with silly season still not done as we get that much closer to winter testing. I know one of the heartfelt silly season announcements that people were definitely excited about is this man has announced a return to 2022 competition. That's Terry McMillan. He will return in a Dan Mercier Top Fueler for several events. It doesn't look like it's going to be a full pool. You never know. We'll see if they can find the right partners, but he is returning to competition, and that is a good thing to hear, that we have got Terry coming back. We've got Buddy Hull coming in with his own ride. Doug Foley has got a brand new Top Fuel dragster, Lucas Chassis and Aaron Brooks tuning. There are rumors, and I have this rumor from a very good source that we should expect another big name tuner and big name driver to announce that they will be in the 2022 campaign in the NHRA Camping World season. So silly season is not done with. This has been the wildest silly season, and I think it just sets up for NHRA drag racing in 2022 to be one of the best and most competitive years we have seen. Looking forward to it. Stan says going to see them at the Phoenix Test on February 12th. Stan was mentioning that, yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in the Phoenix area, let's say you've already purchased tickets for the Arizona Nationals, you can add a multiplier, if you will, to your tickets and get in on Saturday, or you can purchase a ticket straight up and see Saturday testing at Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. Drag Racing Central says, seeing what one of the new teams goes, seeing which or what team new teams goes to the top. It's going to be a highly competitive year. I would say this. We saw what Funny Car produced last year with all the shuffling. I think we're about to see that in Top Fuel. I stand by that Steve Torrance will still come out on top, but he is going to have probably the most challenging year to come out on top that he or anyone else has probably ever had. It is going to be insane, and I'm looking forward to it. Drag Racing Central, what's Doug's schedule look like? So this has been mentioned many times in the press release. Actually, there's an NHRA video on NHRA.com and the YouTube and the Facebook page John Kernan put together. Thank you, John, if you happen to watch this, for getting out there and getting some time with Doug and producing that. But what Doug Foley is looking at right now is you've got testing, you have Pomona, you have the Arizona Nationals. They will skip Vegas and they'll go to Gainesville. And yeah, they need to find funding for the rest of the year. Doug expects to be in the top 10 when they roll into Gainesville, and possibly even leaving Gainesville, be in the top 10. That is his aspirations. And I think if they're able to do that, then we will see possibly some more funding come that way. American Hot Rod Entertainment, definitely AB Motorsports, time for Antron to get back to championship form. It's going to be a wild year. It's going to be a wild year. There's so many things that could happen. Stan, are you going to be at Phoenix Test with Foley testing? I want to be at Phoenix, whether I'm with a team or not, whether I'm out there just as a media personality or if I'm helping Doug or not, whatever. I plan on, and I want to be at Phoenix to get that. Now, my plan this year overall for Monday Morning Racer will be far more local and far more outlaw, if you will. Love my NHRA drag racing, but when you have people call you up, such as Chris Graves and Funny Car Chaos, and they appreciate what you're doing, and they value what you're doing, and they're going to pay you for what you do, and they want you to be where they are and produce work, you're going to put emphasis there. And I'm going to put my emphasis on Funny Car Chaos and Southeast Gassers Association, even Carolina Sprint Tour, because when you look at the YouTube as channel as a whole for Monday Morning Racer, I cover more than just drag racing. I cover the local dirt track and oval scene as well. And I want that to become deeper in the portfolio, if you will. So I hope to be there at Phoenix. It is my desire. It's on the list. Plan to be out there. Sam says, I think the best year coming. Yes, sir. I completely agree with you. We're looking at the best year coming. And I want to say this. I think recognizing people for what they've done is important. And Drag Illustrated announced the inaugural Drag Illustrated Drag Racing Awards, and they have several categories, including Racer of the Year for 2021. And there's many other categories like Influencer of the Year and Tuner of the Year, so on, so on, so on. And they're trying to encompass, well, it seems like everything of drag racing in this awards program, bringing awards to drag racing that are not just NHRA. They're not specific just to one sanctioning body, but beyond, and trying to encompass all of drag racing. And I just want to say to the crew of Drag Illustrated, thank you for doing that and keep up the good work. I feel like what Drag Illustrated does, their efforts, they put a polish on drag racing that drag racing needs and has needed for a long time. What they're doing with this year, looking back to 2021 and having this myriad of awards to tuner, driver, team, that's what we need. Because if ESPN isn't going to pay us attention, if the New York Times isn't going to pay us attention, or whoever else isn't going to pay us attention, at least let's handle it in-house. Let's toot our own horn within drag racing and showcase how good we are, and maybe others will catch on and they'll have us a part of the program as well. But I appreciate that Drag Illustrated is saying this needs to be done, and we're going to take it upon ourselves to get the job done. So out of this, right here, you've got Steve Torrance, Ryan Martin, Todd Tutterow, Greg Anderson, and Matt Smith. 2021 Racer of the Year. You're voting right here on Monday Morning Racer on Between the Slicks. Who gets your vote for Racer of the Year? Me, looking at that right now, all of these individuals had a great year, but I have to give it to Greg Anderson. He would get my vote as Racer of the Year for 2021. Who would you be voting? Let me know. Let me know. Drag Racing Central says, basically, NHRA doesn't like people filming for some reason. I think that's changing. I think that is changing. I know when I came in under the radar, I felt like they certainly didn't want someone that had a YouTube channel out there. I believe that is changing because I can see what like American Hot Rod Entertainment is doing. I can see what Everything Nitro is doing. I can see what people like 1320 Video being able to come out and produce a video and go to the wall and get film. That was unheard of 3 years ago. You were not doing that. And frankly, what I see some people getting away with and not getting an email apparently from the NHRA, I'm glad, it's good, and I definitely think things are opening up, and that needs to happen. The more we get, the more exposure we get for the sport, the better. Let me say this, though, Drag Racing Central. Just like I said, if there's an issue filming over there, I'll go over here and film. Because guess what? The PDRA, they will let almost anyone film, it seems like. You just show that you're doing good work and that you are putting the content out there, and you can come and you can film, and you are able to showcase professional drag racing in a body that appreciates you doing that. Very similar, I think, with Funny Car Chaos or even Southeast Gasser Association. DRC says Torrance or Hosley. Good choices. Good choices, but I definitely think Greg. You got to give it to Greg. Historic year. wins the championship in a highly competitive pro stock year, I'd give it to Greg. Stan, he chimes in and says, MMR, the Crazy Phoenix Golf Tournament is the same weekend as the test. At the golf course right there at Wild Horse Pass, because that would be very interesting, having the cars running and someone's up at the green. Oh, let's all be quiet now. He's going for birdie. He's attempting to win the round for the day. Oh, he missed the, oh, it's a tragedy. I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Me enacting a car launching and golfing happening at the same time. I think that's going to work really well. How does that work with ball placement? You set the ball down, you pick your quarter up, car launches, vibrations, it rolls. I mean, what is that, a stroke? I mean, what, do you play it where it lies? What do? Do you move it back where it was even though you picked up the quarter? I don't know. How's that work? Interesting. Drag racing is kicking off everywhere, though. I am glad to hear that they're going to get back to drag racing in Australia. The new Australian Top Fuel Championship, they are racing. Well, matter of fact, it should be later on today, because roughly, if it's 8 p.m. here, we're looking at it being like noon or 1 p.m. over there in Australia. But on Friday, they're already in Friday. They're in the future. Well, they will have this weekend, Friday and Saturday, the first round of the Top Fuel Championship. And if you looked at the card, I mean, we're talking about Top Fuel, Pro Mod, Pro Stock, many other types of classes are there. And our own Larry Dixon is there competing. And this will be streamed. From what I understand, it's going to be streamed on the Top Fuel Championship Facebook page. I hope that's accurate. That's what I have heard. I would love to watch it myself. But from Nitro Mouth, in a insider conversation, was able to hear that it will be taped and produced later for a MAV TV show as well. So if you're not able to catch it this weekend, then you're able to catch it also with the MAV TV production. Mike, LOL, the ball would move. I know. How would they deal with that? I want to know, what are the rules if it was close enough? But Stan says no, it's Scottsdale. Pre-COVID, 200,000 fans on Saturday. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. And you never know. Maybe somebody will be like, maybe someone will be smart enough to go to a tournament like that has got some history and got some tradition, and give some tickets out and invite some people to come and experience testing for NHRA drag racing. Maybe someone will have enough sense to do that. Who knows? Looking forward to drag racing happening down in Australia and them getting back to drag racing. That's a great thing to have going on. What about Proc's almost confirmed 2022 ride? Well, you're right, and that's just it, almost. Again, like Coletta, we still don't know. Everybody is saying Alan Johnson, and we've got to tack on to that almost. Highly possible. Seems definite. But there has to be this little bit of erring on the side of caution, because it hasn't been officially announced yet. So we've got to wait. I will say this, whatever we see at Phoenix, whoever it is, for Coletta, for Proc, for anybody else that we're not even talking about tonight, that's who they're rolling in with Pomona. Because you got to remember, Pomona is the next week end after the testing. So whoever is at Phoenix, then boom, they are there. Stan, Proc is entered for Pomona and Phoenix. That's true. But remember, just because you're entered doesn't mean you necessarily always show up. It very likely can happen. But oftentimes people will enter to hold their spot because there are timelines, there are deadlines to enter, and then they may not enter. Again, just err on the side of caution. But yes, it does look and appear that we're going to have Proc back in some way, shape, form, or fashion. We are expecting Alan Johnson to be tuning for the Colettas. Again, today, There wasn't any official announcement of a Dodge for Ron Capps, but clearly it was a Dodge body. I mean, maybe we'll see a particular PR release later with some Dodge livery possibly, or some program. Who knows? But there it was. There it was. Speaking of clarity on what we're going to see in 2022, had an interesting conversation with Doug Winters Tuesday night on the Competition Plus Power Hour. In referencing this photo, he took this photo. It's clearly Z-Max in a Pro Mod competition. Doug Winters, if you don't know, he's off to the far left there in that Steinar Airlifts Chevelle. And you see there in the middle, the iconic gap in the injector. That's Stevie Fast Jackson. Now, what do you notice? That Stevie Fast Jackson's modern day late model Camaro is extremely narrow compared to the older body styles of, in particular, these two Chevelles. But you can even notice it to Eric Latino's Camaro to the far right, that Stevie Fast Jackson's car is a bit smaller in the frontal region. Well, Mr. Winters alluded to that we can expect that there's going to be a rule break for the older body styles, and a rather considerable rule break for the older body styles. So maybe, just maybe, we might in the future see some diversity, even more so in NHRA Pro Mod, in the body styles. That's going to be a good thing, whether it's Chevelle, or whether it's a Willis, or whether it's a Mercury, or whether it's a Studebaker. But hopefully we can see some of these older body styles creep back in, and we see it as it used to be. I mean, we talked with Mr. Winters about the old Nitro Coupe days. I love the Nitro Coupe days. They had body styles everywhere of all different types. Like, he was running like a 50 something, Corvette, and you had Kuhlman, he was in a Corvette. You had guys in 50 something Fords, and there were Studebakers, and it had a wild range in that series in the Super Stevie show. So hopefully we can get back to those Pro Mod days and we see many other body styles. Drag Racing Central, 8th Mile would fix all these aero issues, just saying. And in just saying, let me remind you that what did Doug Winters say? What did Doug Winters say? Not interested in running nothing but quarter mile at the NHRA with that rules package. What did Melanie Salemi say? That there's nothing like running a door car on the quarter mile through all the way to the top end. There is a mystique, and that's just it. The NHRA, I applaud them. By the end of the year, I think they really figured out parity. And there's no reason for them to switch from quarter mile. They're going to give a break to these cars. That's a step in the right direction. And now they've got to find money. They've got to find money. And that's going to change it all. Because if they can find the money to offset the parts attrition, we're not having this issue. Because just 2 years ago, we were having over 30-something cars enter for Pro Mod at somewhere like Atlanta for quarter mile drag racing. So the problem is not quarter mile. It is money. NHRA's got to find a bigger partner. The Pro Mod guys themselves got to find a bigger partner. They need to be showcased more. We got to do something about giving them more exposure, certainly. But money, that's what it comes down to. You've got guys out there, they definitely want to run the quarter mile. They want to go that fast, and they want to be on that stage. Because you can go run 8th Mile anywhere right now. You can. You can go to your local Quick 8, or you can go to somewhere like Piedmont Dragway with their Big Dog series, which is a great series, a long-standing Pro Mod series, and you can run 8th Mile. Where can you run quarter mile with a door car right now, though? There's really only one place. That's unique, and that should be embraced. Just like the PDRA. I don't appreciate the chatter that's out there of folks, oh, we need to combine Pro Nitrous and Pro Boost. No, let's just do it. Let's just do it. for once a year on the All-Star segment, because that was pretty cool, but keep them separated for the rest of the year, because what? That makes it unique. And then that also builds up the hype of what happens at like a Snowbird Nationals or a U.S. Streetcar Nationals, which is coming up next, not this weekend, but the weekend after next. That you have all these teams, NHRA and PDRA, Pro Nitrous and Pro Boost and Midwest Drag Racing Series and Northeast Outlaw Pro Moto Association. They all come together and they duke it out. And there's more bragging rights than just a single driver, but there's bragging rights over series and brand and type of power adder, so on, so on, and so on. Very quickly, we'll go through, and then we got to get Mr. Paul Flynn on. Deuces Wild, I would like to see them bring back the shoebox cars. I think that can happen. I think that can happen with what we are going to see. A better fix is factory dimensions with a retro or modern option for each manufacturer. That's definitely an option. It would be cool to see. And plus, like Stevie Fast Jackson's car, I know it's a modern Camaro, but even it doesn't look that Camaro-ish, if you will allow me to say. Maybe it could look more like Fireball's cars, that type of thing. Maybe we could get to that point as well. Drag Racing Central. But can you run 8th mile for a U.S. Nationals Wally? Well, no, you can't. Period. You can't. There's nobody running 8th mile for a U.S. Nationals Wally. Every class, except for the Nitro classes, is quarter mile. So it's not money. It's lack of respect from NHRA. Most of the PM guys that have left are millionaires. Stan, I don't think it's a lack of respect fully, because I asked Doug Winters about that directly. I said, hey, is this an issue of lack of respect? And he said, no, it's not. Now, they had to get some things right. They had to build the program themselves. You got to remember, they are a professional class, but they're not under the Camping World Series banner, just like Top Alcohol and Top Funny Car. I think those guys are professionals just as much as anyone else, but they're not under that Camping World Series banner. This is an issue we have in drag racing. We have so much of a good thing to highlight. Like, look, when you turn on NASCAR, we're watching one race. When you turn on NHRA Camping World Drag Racing, we're watching one race divided in at least 3 categories most of the time for a weekend, maybe just 2 categories, most 4 categories. Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, and Pro Stock Motorcycle. I definitely think we got to figure out something where the Pro Mod guys get more exposure. Maybe they are streamed live to YouTube every race they're at. Again, I have said I would like to see a door slammer only NHRA national event where it's Pro Stock and Pro Mod and factory stock. They're the headlining cars. Experiment. See what happens. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to take the time, step away. Maybe we'll continue the conversation later. Maybe we'll get Paul's opinion on a few of these things. He's been around drag racing for a long time, himself, and steeped in it. We're going to take a break. Right after the break, we're going to have Paul Flynn on and talk to him about being a NHRA TRD track support engineer. That's a huge title. It's a huge title. This word from Power-Built Tools.
Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.
All right, Paul, how's it going tonight, man?
Hey, what's going on, Lee? I'm having a good night. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing really good. Good to have you on. Good to share your story of what you do in the world of drag racing. And man, look at you. Got TRD on there on your chest.
Yeah. Got the branding.
Back behind you with JR Todd. Look at that, man.
Yeah. So that's actually my first win, and I was actually working for my dad at the time for that win. So that's a very important memory in my life, and it'll forever. I'll never forget it. It was an incredible experience.
Hey, you're never going to forget any first, definitely your first win. And look, let's get this out of the way. Yes, you are the son of Rob Flynn. So you had no chance of not being in drag racing, right?
Yeah, no, there was no chance. I grew up around it. I traveled around it whenever I was younger, and I always talked about it with my dad. Like our dinner conversation was about drag racing. Oh, it was about what's coming up next. Oh, who should he look out for at the next race? And so it never ended.
Right, right. It never ended for sure. And glad you're able to have those conversations and experience that and enjoy that. Well, look, let's dive in on what the heck you actually do, because I think you have a job that most people, and here you are in action, they just what the heck is this guy going out in the track carrying this brick doing? So there you are, lit in the sunlight, like a badass, doing your job, checking the track. What in the world is actually going on right here?
So what you're seeing me do is I'm leaning down with my mysterious black box, as you called it, and I am just measuring the track. And as you can see, I have a temp gun to my side, and then on my other side, I have a radio and a UV meter. And those are just the basics that we use to actually measure out the track before we go out and run. And I provide all that information to all my Toyota supported teams. And we go out and we try to perform and do our best.
And from what I understand, I've watched on several occasions, what you're doing out there starts rather early. I have seen you guys as some of the earliest people to the track, on the track, checking the track, and myself, maybe a fan, we would be like, why in the world are you checking the track now? You're nowhere near nitro running. So why so much data even when a car might not be running? What are you looking for? Why are you collecting that much?
So sometimes, well, we don't just get there really early. We've also been there late at night too. As whenever I picked you up on the golf cart, I think it was like 11:30 at night, and I just finished my time. So we go out there and we just want to survey what we're looking at for the day, and then we develop a report and put out a couple of educated guesses on where we think the track's going to be whenever we qualify or race, and we try to distribute as much information as possible. And we're out there because we never know. We could have rain delay and we could be running late at night. We could have rain delay and we may be running two hours early. We just never know. So we're always on top of it. But you mentioned being there early in the morning. There's one person that always beats us there, and that's Lanny. I'm pretty sure he sleeps at the track, but I'm not positive.
There's always that one dude like, you did it again. How do you do it? How do you do it?
He's been doing it for 40 years.
Man. Well, I will say this though. It is much more challenging to get to the track early than stay late. Like late just happens. Everybody seems to be like they have late days. Like the people who leave early, I'm like, how do you do that? I see media people leave early. I'm like, how? Like I'm nowhere near being done. How are you done?
Yeah, like, I mean, we see people leave all the time. Sometimes the teams leave before. Sometimes we leave before the teams. We're all just putting in our time. We're trying to perform that weekend, and sometimes you have to put in the extra time.
All right, so you've got the little black box, and that is a electronic measuring device. But there also is another device out there, at least I know of one more, and it's more of a mechanical torque wrench type setup. So why does TRD or you yourself prefer the electronic readout compared to the mechanical manual readout, if you will?
Well, I can't disclose too much information, hence it's still called the black box. But what you're looking at, someone like Dave Fletcher or Fletch would go out there and do is he's using a gripometer, which measures the torque of a track. So a good way to do it yourself is to walk on the track and just put the tip of your foot on the track and then twist it, and that'll be like a torque reading. And oftentimes you can actually measure the grip with your foot just by doing that. But we've moved to the electronic side because we saw that the gripometer, the resolution isn't that crazy different. And like you said, sometimes we're out there early and sometimes we're out there at night. Well, midday, the track is much different when the sun's on it, but whenever the sun's off of it, it's much more gripped up because there's no sun to impact the rubber and soften it. So to answer your question, the gripometer, the resolution, it's always going to work. It's always going to be the solution at all times. But we just wanted to go to the advanced route and put some engineering into it.
Yeah, we've got a lot of folks chiming in, like Kyle Abrams here. He says, hard work beats talent all the time. We will get the results this year. Let's go, Paul. So I know a lot of people were excited to have you on the show, and I was excited to have you on. And it was interesting how I got to meet you. I had met your dad the day before, and it was Z-Max. So an interesting time for your dad, because like he walks up to me. He's like, hey, man, I like your show on Tuesday nights. I'm like, hey, thank you. I appreciate you watching. And like, I had never seen a photo of your dad. Like I had never, like he's not in the front of the camera a lot. And I'm like, and who are you? He's like, oh, I'm Rob Flynn. I'm like, I'm stupid. Hello, how you doing? You know, and then the next day I meet you and we're talking, and just with being busy on Monday filming testing and everything, I'm like, Flynn, Paul Flynn, Rob Flynn. It didn't connect until we're talking.
It took a couple sessions.
I'm like, oh, duh, you know. Yeah, and now I've come to figure out that your sister Stacy is married to Caleb, and I didn't realize.
Caleb Cox, yep, that's correct.
You go. There you go. We drag racing family here. But talk to me. With saying all that about being a drag racing family, sure, you probably had an open door more than most people to step into the world of drag racing, but you can tell through your Facebook profile that you just didn't get the top job right away. You seem to come through the ranks. So talk to me about the first opportunity that you might have got to do something in drag racing to get you to this very point right now where you're with TRD.
Well, I could just take it back to 2007 to 2008. I was maybe 10 years old, and my dad was working for Hot Rod Fuller, and the team was very young, so I had a lot of fun there. I would always work alongside Ted Yurzik, who is now with AB Motorsports, but also a familiar name like Gary Pritchett, and I would see them work, and I was just so fascinated by it. Then once I got a little bit older, I would just walk around and try to clean parts, clean the car. I did everything I could. And I was clean the car and parts for Bob Vandergriff Racing for a bit, even after my dad was released from that team, just because we were close family friends. But there was one day I was at Charlotte. It was maybe 30 degrees. I think it was the year 2014. And he just was like, all right, I can't deal with you. I got to get back to work. And he dropped me off at Jeff Deal's pit. No, like just a quick introduction. Hey, this is my son. Teach him everything. And Jeff Deal's like, okay, I guess. And he sent me right back to the solvent tank. I was cleaning parts. All of a sudden, he's like, hey, you want to push some pistons into the block? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I just started learning from there. And then same thing happened the next year. You talk about racing life. My summers after high school, so between my junior and senior year, we didn't go on vacation, but vacation was going to the racetrack. So I actually got put on to Tim Wilkerson's team. Same deal. He walked me over, knew one person, was like, hey, this is my son. Teach him what you can, and dropped me off and left. So you get tossed into situations, and you just got to learn to adapt and meet people, network, and just try to build your skill set, build some knowledge just from asking questions. No questions a stupid question, and you just try to learn as much as you can. And then after the Tim Wilkerson deal, I was clutch assistant over there, which I learned a ton. Shout out to that team. I will forever be a fan of them, even though they could be on the other side of the lane. And then Jimmo let me go out with the J.R. Todd team right here, and I was also a clutch assistant over there for the summer, and that's where I ended up meeting the representatives of TRD. My dad told me, hey, Toyota Racing's out at the track. You should try to talk to them. And one of the biggest well, one of the biggest goals of mine was to try to go into engineering and bring it into drag racing, not necessarily bring it into drag racing, but evolve it in drag racing. And that's what I did. And I ended up getting 3 summer internships through Toyota, between Toyota Racing. And now they brought me on, and I'm their track support guy. And I'm forever thankful for where I'm at. And I can't thank everybody else that has helped me along the way. You saw Kyle Abrams' message. That's actually my roommate, and he's involved in NASCAR. And then R. Kelly, he's also a friend from Indy that's in NASCAR. And then I can't shout out my friends enough. Rick, Tristan, Hunter, everybody that's tuning in. I think I saw Davey. It's all one big family. That's what drag racing is.
Definitely is, man. And look, I love the story. You took opportunities here, and it kept building and building and building. And really, that's how anyone gets into any sport. You got to get to the track, you got to be there, and you got to keep moving up, and take the opportunities as you get them. For those of you watching, I would like for you to take the opportunity, because I got like 19 people watching on the YouTube side, but only 9 likes. Hit the like button and hit the share button as well, if you would, please. Because, like, hey, I mean, how many shows have you been on, Paul? How many shows say, hey, let's have the crew guys, let's have the track guys on? See, that's what I mean.
See, if I end up on TV, it's for a joke or a prank, or it was actually something cool. Like Brian Lones talked about me during the I think it was the Dallas broadcast.
Right. So hey, at least you got to be talked about for something cool there. You didn't fall on the track or
that
something.
That was incredible.
So that's definitely
that
cool.
Probably has been filmed too. I've tripped and fell and turned around, and the camera was right there. So it happens.
Right. And speaking of, you've got this opportunity with Toyota. Drag Racing Central has seen it, and I have too. That as he says here, Toyota NHRA gives me a major F1 vibe, and I like it as a group that uses social media and pushes their drivers to the front. So TRD, I feel like they get it. They get the production, they get the testing, the data collection. They just have their own rig there, so on. So working with Toyota, what has that been like compared to everything else in the drag racing world? Because there are independent teams, but they're very interconnected and integrated, it seems like. So take us behind the curtain a little bit. What is Toyota like as a company?
So Toyota as a company is very cohesive, and the environment is, there's knowledge everywhere. That's the bottom line. People come from all different backgrounds of racing, whether it's F1, NASCAR, drag racing. They come from everywhere. Like my boss, Slugger Labby, he's a crew chief from the NASCAR series, and now he's at Toyota as the manager for vehicle support. The Toyota group's incredible. Like Rick Rossman, my first summer at Toyota, they did same deal. Dropped me in a room and said, "Hey, teach this kid what you could teach him," and it just happens like that. And you got to be willing to adapt to situations, and that's what Toyota opens up for you. They open up situations that you can learn to adapt to. They don't just drop all the knowledge right out in front of you. You actually have to go out and get it, and you have to be curious. You got to ask as many questions as possible. And the Toyota brand itself, they really like to push the drivers to the front, but they don't just do that. They like to represent every tool and all the programs and just everything they can offer, and they put it out front. Like you said, their social media presence is incredible. And I think I saw someone mention something about the Supra, and the Supra was a big launch for us.
It definitely was. Yes, that was mentioned, talking about the awesome looking Supra funny car body. And definitely it is a good looking car. So what do you think about that rollout? What do you think about it? And I'm curious, new car, new body. Is there going to be specifics that tuners may be asking you with that aerodynamics as they figure it out as a track support engineer, or does it really stay the same and they have to interpret what you get?
Well, so every little bit of information we give, they still have to make their own educated guess, because at the end of the day, they're the crew chief, and we're just suggesting ideas to them. And we're not going to suggest bad ideas. We 100% factual information that we believe in. We put high confidence in everything we output. There's not necessarily there isn't going to be any sort of factors that's going to change being out there at the racetrack. For the new Supras, that's just for the team to get to work and learn. That's going to be their job right there, and we'll do our job behind the scenes.
All right, man. Look, everything Nitro. Very important question here. Are we going to see a celebrity boxing match between Caleb Cox versus Paul Flynn? So brother-in-law versus brother-in-law. Are we going to see that? You might have some reach on Caleb, maybe. You know, you are tall Paul, as everybody likes to say. How tall are you? Let's go ahead and get that out of the way.
6'5" or 6'6", to be honest with you. I have not been to the doctor, but there's a lot of people that have told me they're 6'4", and they say I actually look much taller than them. So let's go with 6'5", 6'6". Couple of funny stories. I'll just walk into a bar while we're out at some race, and I'll just hear "Tall Paul" out of nowhere, and I'm just like, what? Tall Paul? Like, how? And that's just became my nickname at the track and everywhere I go surrounding racing. It's funny because the president of TRD actually called me Tall Paul also, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, you definitely do got the height. Like, I love photos with your dad. Your dad's about my height.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
I get his genes.
And it's like, so it's pretty funny. But hey, look, we got to set that up. That needs to be like an MMR exclusive.
Oh gosh, Caleb,
versus, you know.
Caleb does jiu-jitsu. I may have the reach and maybe a little bit more speed, but yeah, Tall Paul versus Showtime, that'd be interesting. He actually put me onto like trading cards, so maybe I beat him there for like a day, but I mean, I'll box him. I guess we could spar. I don't know if we want to film it.
I got to call Caleb. We can set it up next time.
Hey, I'll call him right now. I got the phone.
All right, next time we're in Indy, we're going to the ring. We're going to the sparring mat. We'll have to get it done.
He can't beat me up too bad, because we both got to be up at the race. But I'm not going to back down.
That's right. You never know. I might have to wrangle you and get some TRD information, and for that cruiser car. You never know.
I'm always on my toes around him and my sister. It seems like my sister wants to be a spy sometimes, so I'm always looking out for her.
Now, you can't ask those questions. You know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't tip me.
Where'd you hear that from? Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, I know a lot of athletes, from stick and ball to motorsports. When it comes to my mind right now, the dirt track world, they look at a track, they look at the conditions, they're like, oh man, tonight it's going to be right. This thing is going to be my track, dry, slick, or tacky, whatever. With your job, do you get amped up when you go look at that track, you click that reading, you're like, ooh, I'm liking this.
Yeah, that happens more often than not, especially whenever we go out there and we expect it to be not as good. Like you say, we get there early in the morning and we're like, oh, this isn't going to be good. And we go out there and it's reading gripped up. Gage Wenzel can tell you for himself. Yeah, we tell you it's time to go. Our 100% factual information is go. We got to go for it because it's cool day, cool track. It's there. Bottom line.
Yeah, I think you all have such a fascinating job, because you're looking at the field of play that is going to allow these cars, depending on atmospheric conditions, to go out there and perform at the best that they can. So at least one portion of the formula, you're able to go, wow, we can anticipate some huge numbers today. big numbers in mile per hour, low numbers in ET. And I imagine it's got to be almost kind of nerve-wracking because you're like, okay, we need to hurry up and get to first round of qualifying. I want to see what these guys can do. And I bet it's also even a higher disappointment level when you see a car go out there and just smoke the tires. You're like, oh, it's out there. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, and most of the time that happens whenever there's like high winds. High winds will dry out a track really quick, or like an example like Vegas. If you watch them go down the track at Vegas and look at the top end, you'll see all the dust just shoot in to the middle. And dust on a track, that doesn't really give you more traction. It makes you lose traction.
Definitely. What was a time what was a race? What was an event? For me, I remember St. Louis 2 years ago when you had pro stock wrecking. They called the guys out of the lanes and Leah's wreck, and just like, that's the wildest drag race I've ever been to. What's a drag race from your perspective that you can remember with this particular role that you have that, wow, this is going to be a rough day for everybody in these nitro cars?
Pomona of last year. 140 plus degree track. I've never seen anything like it. And Pomona itself, if you just walk it and look at it, it's bumpy. It's very bumpy, but it was hot. It was 93, 92 degrees out, full sun. The UVs were at its max, so the rubber is extremely soft, so that makes you lose as much traction as possible. In a 140 degree track, you twist your foot and you're just sliding. And then if I was to pick another race, it'd be actually Bristol of last year. I had two Camrys in the semifinals, and after one won, and then the other one, I was walking the track in the semifinals and knew that Toyota won the race. That was one of the most incredible feelings ever, to know that you've already won without racing the final round.
Pomona and Bristol is challenging conditions. Some of the most
Bristol
challenging tracks out there.
Bumps. Yeah, you would you would see funny cars in the air at Bristol.
Right. So
when we made two cars to the semis and then ended up Toyota winning the race, that was just like a lot of was lifted off our shoulders.
So in your opinion, what is the best track out there right now? I hear a lot of people love to say that Virginia has the best surface that is out there. Which track, of your opinion, has the best surface?
So personally, I haven't been to the Richmond yet. I started in 2020, so that's when they actually started taking out all those tracks. So I haven't been to Richmond. I haven't been to Phoenix. I would say I like Vegas and Charlotte, to be honest. Even with the four lanes, both the left and right lane, they're both great. And I think we've seen some great racing from both Vegas and Charlotte both.
All right. You bringing up the 4-wide, well, that's 2 more lanes. Do you have extra people to help out that weekend, or is it okay? I gotta hustle. Let me get over there. Click, and let me go down here. Click.
Yeah, I run marathons. Like if I actually looked at the Apple Health and saw how much I walked and ran, I'd be amazed. And so the 4-lane, how it works is we do have people. So we have Chad Head by our side, which is the manager of Coletta Motorsports, but we also have my boss Slugger. He's also there to help. But usually me and Jawan, which is the team engineer for Coletta's, we could usually task both all 4 lanes, just because of once you add 2 more lanes, there's more prep. So whenever they would finish lanes 3 and 4, we could hop over to 3 and 4. And then once they finish lanes 1 and 2, they still have to move everything out of the way. So we could still run back over to 1 and 2, but it does get difficult, especially whenever you have cars in 3 different lanes coming up. We really run, and you will see sometimes that I'll be running from starting line all the way out to 330, 600 feet every once in a while. And it's a drag race, no pun intended.
Drag race and a drag race, only
Yeah.
fitting. So, yes, drag racing family for sure in the Flynn household. You're doing the TRD, track engineer support gig right now. Where do you hope it takes you? Do you hope you keep going further in drag racing? Maybe be a tuner one day. Do you hope to get a crack, like I mentioned earlier, dirt track racing and seeing all the different variables that happen at a dirt track? Because, man, it's insane the transition that a dirt track can go through. So where do you hope in motorsports that what you're doing right now takes you to?
Well, what I'm doing right now is I wanna become a prolific track guy. Everybody hears the name Lanny Maglisi as being the long-term track guy, and I've always wanted to just put my name up there. Checking out other series, yeah, definitely. There's always room to always learn and gain more knowledge. And I mean, we're involved with the IMSA road course racing series, and then we're also involved with NASCAR. So I wouldn't oppose getting a shot at those at some point, but definitely not in the next 5 years. Drag racing's always been a passion of mine, and I'm doing what I love right now, and I just want to keep building and just evolving the sport.
Yeah, I love watching the guy for John Force Racing. I'm like, man, this guy takes his job serious. Like he's got every gadget.
He's on
it. This guy is on it.
And he's a great guy to talk to. He is always willing to just give any little information that he can give just to help. And that's another thing too. Drag racing is family. Even though we're all out there competing, we all lend each other a hand. We have our own section that's track specialists, and we don't leave anybody out. We like to work together, because pretend I miss something that Lanny gets, he'll tell me, and vice versa every once in a while. But it's all just one big family.
Well, I also suspect that with what you all are doing, it's not just a matter at times of being competitive, but there very well may be a matter of, hey, you didn't see this, but I did. This is a safety issue. We need to actually mention this elsewhere, not just in team, but have a conversation with directors of a race. I imagine that's happened on occasion.
Yeah, I mean, pretend we see oil, and it's not even our lane. So we'll go out and sample a lane, and we know that we're not going to run in that lane, but we see oil or we see shrapnel or just anything like that. We're still going to speak up. Because at the end of the day, we want good racing.
We all do, and I'm glad y'all are out there making a way to have that extra information for NHRA and for these tuners to have such competitive racing. And man, hey, TRD, all the other track specialists, they must have been on their jobs to a great point, because especially Funny Car, I've never seen a year that was as competitive as it was in Funny Car. It was absolutely insane. And with saying that, as a fan of the sport, you've been around it, you've grown in it, you're working in it, but as a fan, talk to me about some of the heroes you've had, some of the people you've rooted for, and what you just enjoy about this great sport.
Well, it all started with Hot Rod Fuller back in 2006, 2007, 2008. I would always sit in the tow vehicle. Any race that I went to, I wanted to be in the tow vehicle and hang out with Hot Rod Fuller. I would always be standing by his side while he signed autographs. So there was a couple of times where I got to sign an autograph. There was a couple of times when I got to be in a picture. And I mean, I see kids that stand along the fence, and I remember that I used to be that kid. I would go out and stand out of Antron Brown's pit. I would stand out of Sean Langdon's when he was a rookie with Lucas Oil. I would stand out at J.R. Todd's. And it's all just, it's crazy that I know these guys now personally, especially Antron. And Antron's a big family friend. I worked on JR's team. JR's he's such a great driver. You can learn a lot from these drivers and just anybody around there. But one of the biggest things is there's always a kid out there on the ropes wanting to find their way in, and I try to make that happen as much as I can. I'll talk to anybody that's out there on the ropes, because if I was that person out there on the ropes, I'd try to ask questions and hope someone talked to me and just gave me a little bit of input and actually made me feel like I was welcome there. And that's one of the biggest things about drag racing is we want everybody to feel welcome and be willing to learn and enjoy the sport we all know and love, NHRA drag racing.
Well, keep up the good work, man. Last question I've got for you. We have preseason testing coming up there at Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. When do you guys, those that deal with the track, in fact, get there? Because I imagine it's probably even earlier than maybe even rigs rolling in. So talk to me about getting ready for preseason testing.
When are you getting there?
When am I getting there? I plan to be there. It's probably I'm going to be rolling in at the last minute. They might have the first car pulled up for all I know.
Yeah, so we'll be there on Wednesday, because I'm pretty sure it starts on Thursday and goes till Sunday, if I recall correctly. I'll be getting there on Wednesday, and I'll be doing my track sampling, nice and early or nice and late. It really depends on if the track's ready or not, and just gotta be there and be on my toes and be ready to go. I mean, we've had an off season, and it's time to hit the ground running.
Yes, sir, it is. Well, Paul, look, thank you for your time tonight, and keep moving forward in this great sport of drag racing, and appreciate your time telling the story and encouraging anyone that may be watching that, yes, they can take some steps and make it in this sport as well. Thank you, man. Have yourself a good night.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, if anybody ever sees me at the racetrack, I'm not ignoring you. I may have my headset on. I may just be dialed in. But if I do see you and you want to come and talk, ask a question, feel free. I'm always open. And if you want to take a picture too, I've met some incredible people at the track. I've met people from Canada. I've met people from Europe, and they're all just drag racing fans. And it's always cool that you could connect with anybody and everybody. So I appreciate you having me on the show, and I'm glad I got to speak a little bit about the behind the scenes of what I do.
Again, man, thank you for being on. And folks, just look for one of the tallest guys at the track, and that may be Paul. Thank you, man. Take care.
Thank you. You as well.
Folks, look, right here on Between the Slicks, we like to talk to the individuals, yes, that are behind the wheel, but drag racing is well beyond that. It all comes together with people that are not holding a wheel whatsoever. They might be holding that mysterious black box, and what in the world is happening with that contraption. And we want to get those conversations right here. I know I've talked with some other individuals, plan on having some more crew members throughout the year that are representatives of John Force Racing and Clay Milliken and his outfit. So looking forward to what we have in store right here on Between the Slicks for the rest of 2022, and take the time and dive in to the stories that you may not have heard or possibly will not hear, because they are so focused elsewhere on drivers or tuners or anyone else. But there are a myriad of stories out there in those pits, from NHRA to Southeast Gasser Association, PDRA, Funny Car Chaos, and beyond. And we'll talk about it all right here on Between the Slicks. Come back Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't know who we'll have for next week, but we'll be talking drag racing. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you put the pedal to the metal, and may you be blessed. Monday Morning Racer, out.